引き続きちょっとね、やっていきたいと思うんですけど、まあ、そうね。どんなゲームかなって感じはするけど、未だに。とりあえずなんかすごい呼び出されてるみたいでね、行かないと怒られそうな感じですけど、なんかあんのかな。特にないか。なんかいろいろ、こう、なんて言ったらいいんだ、手紙とかで情報を集めると、会話の選択肢が増えていくみたいなので、そっちもちょっとね、探っていこうと。
Yes, Nurse Crane? How can I help you?
I'm so sorry. I know Dr. Swansea wanted you to rest, but we have somewhat of a crisis.
A crisis, you say?
Our supply of antiseptics is nearly depleted. I was hoping there was another box up here, but...
What type of hospital are you running? No antiseptics?
You have been away too long, Doctor. With the war and now this epidemic, supplies have been running scarce for months now.
I may have a solution. In France, during the war, drugs shortage was a daily problem, and we had to use our wits to overcome the shortages.
However do you mean?
If combined correctly, certain household chemical products can be used in a pinch instead. Now, where's the hospital storeroom?
The storeroom? Fat chance. This is the Pembroke, and space is luxury we don't have. Everything used to be stored in the old morgue.
Perhaps I should look there first. Where is this morgue?
It's the large building behind the hospital. You'll need to go in the back door because it's been sealed off for sanitary reasons. Take this key. It opens a small back entrance at the end of a narrow street.
The abandoned morgue behind the hospital. A small door at the end of a narrow street. On my way then. Thank you, nurse.
どうしてもなんかいろいろ会話しようとするとテンポ悪いんだよな。
Why then do you always work the nights? Don't you ever sleep?
At the Pembroke, we're always hands on deck.
Lack of sleep and the medical profession always ends in disaster. I've witnessed many a colleague succumb to stimulants to fight exhaustion. Drugs were as deadly as bullets in the trenches.
London's trenches start here at Pembroke Hospital. We are on the front line, make no mistake.
Your dedication to the Pembroke does you credit, Nurse Crane, but when do you sleep?
We staff get our sleep when we can, Doctor. Nursing is a vocation, not the labor of a journeyman.
Exactly how bad is the supply situation here at Pembroke?
It really depends. Dr. Swansea deftly works his society contacts for monies, but with the quarantine, well, we're in God's hands.
That's all for now, Nurse Crane, thank you.
いろんな人に話聞いてみるのもいいね。ただまあこういうさ、会話の選択肢がある系のゲームだとさ、どうしてもテンポ悪くなっちゃうんだよな。これ中途半端な RPG 要素っていうか。これもっと上もいけるわけだよな。いけないんだ。なんだかんだって今。ここが2階？お？いや、ヘルプって聞こえたよね。じゃあここが？中2階？なんか漁れるもんないかね。 こも開かないか。やっぱ意外と自由度はないな。あれ、昨日の顔やられちゃってる系の彼見つけないとな。
It's locked. It's locked, all right.
こっちだっけ。いたいた。
Good evening, Mr. Elwood.
Evening, Dr. Reed.
Why do you feel responsible for the injury, Thomas? What really happened?
I wasn't disfigured by any German shells. It happened during my leave. It was an accident.
Why lie about it?
Come on. It's one thing to come back disfigured by the Germans, and it's another to get injured in an accident that could have happened to anybody.
Reconstructive surgery has been very successful for some soldiers.
I don't want to wear a bloody mask for the rest of my life. I'd rather stay here and just be forgotten.
Tell me what really happened then.
I went with a whore in Rouen. Dead drunk I was.
ルーアンってジャンヌ処刑の地
The
だっけ？
hotel was a shithole. There was a fire that night.
Did you start the fire? Were you trying to avoid going back to the front? That's not uncommon, you know.
No. It's just that I was asleep when the flames reached the room. The girl was long gone. Bitch never woke me up. Left me to burn.
Soldier, do you need assistance?
I'm fine. Just do something for this pain, will you? That's all I'm asking.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Elwood.
健康ではあるんだよな。
Good evening, miss. I'm Dr. Reed, the new surgeon at the Pembroke Hospital. And who are you?
Your name has no meaning to me, mortal. You're nothing but dust blown by the winds of eternity.
I beg your pardon?
What are you begging for, mortal? My clemency? Well, tonight maybe I'm inclined to mercy. You'll never forget the night you met Thelma Howcroft.
You keep calling me mortal. Why is that? And if I'm mortal, what are you?
Well, Dr. Reed, if you must know, I'm a vampire.
And why do you believe you're a vampire?
I don't need to believe anything. It is what I am. It is what I feel within this hollow shell of flesh.
I see. Have you ever heard of Cotard syndrome, Miss Howcroft?
Never.
It's a mental illness discovered by a French neurologist named Jules Cotard. The affected patients are delusional. They believe that they are putrefying, that they are dead, a ghost or a ghoul, or in your case, a vampire.
Delusional, you say? Oh, sad and petty mortal. You can't even begin to understand the concept.
確かにヴァンパイアっぽいぐらい白いけど
It
ね。
is I who am delusional.
Please, describe to me how you feel. What is it like to be a vampire?
I can hear my body crumble from the inside as my flesh cracks and fades. I sense the last pulse of postulant blood within my drying veins. I need new blood.
I'm assuming you must be a patient here. Am I right, Miss Howcroft?
It's only a cover to hide from my enemies. I can leave whenever I want. As a woman, a spirit, fog, or bat.
Who are these enemies you mentioned? Can you describe them?
I cannot say for sure. But I sense their eyes on me from nearby. I feel them watching me every time I visit the garden near the morgue.
The staff
庭になんかいい
here
のか
are
な？
not your enemy. They're here to help you, to care for you.
I'm not speaking of the doctors in white. I'm speaking of the men and women who hunt me. For I am a vampire.
I see. Don't worry. These people will not find you here. I'll personally make sure they leave you alone.
Thank you, mortal. But do not interfere with them, for you are no match for those that hunt me.
ああ、多分これ庭行けばわかんだろ
Who are you really, Miss Howcroft? I mean, apart from being a vampire.
Is that not enough for you, puny mortal? What do you require? Proof of my powers?
I'm curious to know who you were before becoming a vampire.
No, it was such a long time ago, I don't remember. Centuries of unholy life can have strange effects on one's minds, you see?
I'll leave you, Mistress of the Dark, to your nocturnal activities.
I wish I could be sick again. Feel my blood boil with fear again.
モルグね
Good evening, Mr. Hampton. How do you feel?
Dr. Reed, is it? Oh, sir, I must apologize for my behavior.
What do you mean?
I was not myself in the factory. Fear and exhaustion made me say awful things to you, I'm afraid.
You remained perfectly nice and polite. A little delirious, perhaps. But who wouldn't be after enduring an abduction?
Thank you, Doctor. That's a relief. Now all I need to do is rest and return to my flock.
How did you end up in William Bishop's den?
I had received alarming news about his recent behavior. I went to his place and he refused to let me go.
Why did he abduct you?
William was an alcoholic. His addiction suddenly changed to blood. I don't know why. Just like a patient I met here. This Miss Hawcroft.
You dared to enter this awful place alone. You're a hero, Mr. Hampton. Or a fool.
I'm just a man trying to help his friends, Dr. Reed. William Bishop was a conflicted soul, searching for light.
Do you know Tom Watts, the bartender from the Turtle? I met him before I found you in the canning factory.
Tom? Yes, of course. Always the helping hand, good old Tom. Without men like him, corruption and despair would have wiped out the East End long ago.
Who should I avoid in this part of town, then? Any particularly evil figures?
Not really. Most men and women are just doing their best. And it's not my habit to speak ill of people I know, Doctor.
いや全部の会話見るの手間だな
How could it be otherwise? The authorities have left us all to rot in this contagious nightmare. No drugs, no advice, nothing. It's a damn shame.
What is the general situation in the East End docks?
The situation has always been tough, with a lot of tensions between the gangs and the dockers' trade union. The wet boot boys are very nervous since they lost their leader.
Has the gang been threatening you?
Ah, no. I've had this nickname for so long, you know, the sad saint of the East End. No one dares to bug a saint, not even criminals.
Who leads the gang now?
Since Clay Cox went missing, it's his wife Edwina who runs the show, with the assistance of her minion, Booth Digby.
クレイコックスってなんだっけ
Have you made friends since you arrived?
Not really, but I recognize Miss Harriet Jones. I knew her when she lived by the docks. That poor woman had such a miserable life.
You never came to see her here at Pembroke? Receiving visits when sick can be an important part of the healing process, you know. We're not just bodies.
You're preaching to the converted now, Doctor. To be truly honest, I thought she was dead. She left the docks many months ago.
Goodbye, Mr. Hampton. We'll talk again later.
目赤いんだよな
I wish I could be sick again. Feel my blood
でもとりあえず行った方がいいのか、そしたら。
How long's it going to take to fix me properly? A month? A year? You have the right to disapprove of our methods, and you will kindly apologize when you're feeling better.
どうしたの？
But in the circumstances, I'm willing to give you the benefit of the doubt.
I will not.
Good evening, sir. I'm Dr. Reed. May I help you?
I don't know if a third opinion is needed. Your colleagues are already arguing about my condition.
I see. Would you mind telling me more about your situation?
I'm Harvey Fiddick. All I want is to get me bloody arm fixed properly.
Tell me about the doctors who are arguing about your case.
Strickland and Aykroyd. They both want the best for me, but there's a lot of pride there. Doctors are no different from carpenters, it seems.
What do you mean?
I often had professional arguments with rivals on a building site. Difference is I disagreed about wooden nails, not flesh and bones.
Is there anything else that's bothering you? Can I help in any way?
I'm all right. Considering the state of this place, I should consider myself lucky, I guess.
Goodbye for now.
まだか。まあ医者に話聞けってことなんだろうな、きっと。裏のモルグっつったっけ？こっからじゃいけないのか。こっちかな？
Thelma Howcroft said she was being watched by vampire hunters. Where are they hiding? I should investigate.
I'm sorry that these sad and faded walls are all I have to offer as a final resting place. This is a poor hospital.
なんか一人で喋ってんだよな。
Good evening. I'm Dr. Reed.
Always a pleasure to meet a colleague, sir. Especially when he was supposedly dead.
A colleague? Are you a doctor too?
Not anymore, sir. I used to be Dr. Rakesh Chadana. Now, I'm just Mr. Chadana, pawnbroker and humble guardian of this morgue.
What do you mean, you used to be a doctor? Was your license revoked?
No, sir. It is just that I like to be precise. I run a little pawn shop while taking care of the dead. But I used to be a real doctor.
何をやってんだ？
A pawnbroker? I expect you get all types of people here.
Yes, sir. All kind of people. For I sell all kind of goods.
Who comes here to trade with you? It's very unhygienic, even unsafe. Diseases can spread. For the customers, for the hospital.
I'm very cautious, sir. I've been a doctor, remember? And all my clients are good people. In fact, I think I only know good people.
Please show me what you have to sell.
Of course. It's just trinkets and curios, really. But I'm sure they can be useful.
ああ、金はあれぐらいか。コデインとか持ってないの？ ってみるか。遺体安置所ってどこだっけ。こっち？お？消えるな。何なんだろうね。
Scowl voices in the garden. I should investigate. If they were to find somebody.
なんか食われてねえか。あ、これが吸血鬼のなり損ないか。痛い。結構強くない？ダメでした？あれ？装備してなかったっけ俺。あ、なるほど。どうしたらいいんだこれ。どうやって外すの？これでいいのかな。危ない危ない危ない。すごいじゃん。パリするじゃん、随分。なんでダメなの今の。満身創痍や。 てか病院のすぐそばって結構危険だなこれ。こんなんいっぱいいるんだ。誰もいないの？あ、これ病院でしょ？危な。うん？そういうわけじゃねえのか。あ、いたんだ、あんなとこに。特に登った意味はなかったかな。おー、あっち？これか。まあロード長いのもネックかな。絶対なんかいるじゃん。もうろうそくとかついてるってことはさ、使ってはいるわけだよね。誰かしらね。あー、出ちゃダメ。開けるだけかと思った。違う違う違う。さっきあかんかったやんだって。 これ最終的には人間戻れんのかな。なんもないね。やんのかこれ。ん？なんかある扱いにはなってんだよな。あ、これか？違うな。上か。
Balls of Mars, fortifiers. As popular as they are ineffective. But they do contain iron tartrate, and that might
火星のキャン玉って意味か。
Behavior is similar to the infected William Bishop. Must be the same strain. This sickness moves faster than influenza. I cannot enter.
ここも開かないでしょ。
This key will surely grant me access to the basement.
ん？あれか。来ねえな。なるほど、2連発いけんのか。これ閉まってんのか。いけんのか。いけるけどなんもないね。ん？お仲間なのでは。結構いるぞおい。
These skulls feed from corpses and the husks of animals. And blood.
よいしょ。なんだエレベーターか。 やめなさいよ、やめなさいよ。こっち行っていいのかな。
Mr. Connor's injuries don't match the report. I'd better look into this. Traces of a pinkish foam at the corner of the lips. Some sort of drug overdose, perhaps?
こういうサブクエもあんだね。
Multiple abrasions and scarring on the arms and legs. Old and distinctive injuries of a sailor or a fisherman. The chest was originally opened to perform the operation. The sutures are clean, but the chest has been reopened. A puncture over the left lung, possibly a chest tube insertion. Not the cleanest work, but I think it was successful. Signs of internal bleeding. So, Dr. Tippett's anesthetics were incorrectly dosed, causing the patient's death. And then he tried to operate on him again. Tippett has made an egregious error. It's time we talked.
あれまあ。
Tippett has made an egregious error. It's time we talked. It's locked.
この鍵どうすんだろうな。どこでもらえるんだろう。あ、ここ開かないんだ。ステンバイ。にゃーもう何しやがる。開くじゃん。これなんかあんのかな。のむずいな。本体ロックしろけってことか。 どっからどっからどっから。こっからめんどくせえな、おい。オートセーブの場所間違ってるって絶対。もうこんなやつに。はい。なんでよ。全然もうダメダメやん。いや絶対セーブポイントおかしいんだって。普通ボス前でしょ。スタンチが足んねえのかな。よしよしよしよし。もうこれあれか、無視していいのか。なるほどね、向こうなのね。 あーくそむずっ突破突破。ダメか。初動避ける。うわっと危ねえ。ああもうこれレベルアップか食らっちゃったらおしまいな感じもするよな。どうする？あそこ走っちゃいけねえんだな。ここ歩けばいいんだな。うい、よいしょ。うい。おい、危ない。危ね。なんでじゃ。なんで回避をしたのにな。いや、めっちゃくちゃいい感じだったけどな、途中まで。こいつ倒せないと終われないでしょう。なんだろうな、やっぱスタミナも上げといた方がいいよな、きっと。一発でこんだけ食うでしょ。 なるとやっぱメスじゃなくて、間違った。普通にこれ杭にしといた方がいいのかな。次で行きてえな。なんでさっき振り返んなかったじゃんお前。結成ってなんかあったっけ。なんもないね。ああ、これがさ、なかなかくせもんいいよな。スタミナが足りてないよ、圧倒的に。ちょっとこれはね、無理ゲーだな。ちょっとレベル上げしてからにするかね。ちょっと一旦これで中途半端だけど一回切ろうかな。いやーでもなー、スタミナ上げてくれんだろ要するに。やっぱスタミナと体力上げるのが最優先かな。マジ防御がない分回避重要。
It's locked, all right.
Damn. The pain. It's here again.
Good evening, Mr. Elwood.
Evening, Dr. Reed.
そう、経験値的に手っ取り早いのは吸血なのよね。 あ、ティペッツがどうの言ってたな、そういえば。
Goodbye for now, Mr. Elwood.
医者の血吸ったったらいいんじゃないの。
Good evening, nurse.
Good evening, Doctor. I don't think we've been introduced yet.
あれ、ピ
My
ッパっ
name is
て
Pippa Hawkins.
写真や
And
ったな。
I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed. Dr. Swansea has recently offered me a position in this hospital.
さっき拾った写真だな。
It's a euphemism that your help will be appreciated, Doctor.
ちょっと待って。
Goodbye, Nurse Hawkins.
ミルトンとピッパだよな。
Oh, Mr. Hooks and Nurse Hawkins are an item.
Time has lost its
Those
effect
two
on
have
me.
hidden their
But the
affections well.
suffering continues.
Good evening, Nurse Hawkins.
Good evening, Dr. Reed.
あ、先に医者の方に聞かないといけないのかな。あとやぶ医者。あいつ探さないと。状況によっては食うけど。お前か？
Good evening, sir.
So it is true. The famous Dr. Reed has joined us. I can't think of any better news during these terrible times.
Do we know each other?
Actually, yes. We met once before, at the Rockefeller University in New York.
Dr. Tippett, yes, I remember. I was assisting Professor Carell in his research about coronary bypasses. He had nothing but praise for you.
He was also very confident about your future. And look at you now. Eminent surgeon and blood transfusion specialist.
Kokorin, I want you to tell me about Mr. Connor. How did he die? What happened?
He was my patient. He died because of my mistake. That's the blunt truth.
Who was this patient?
I don't know. Some sick man from the docks. Maybe a fisherman. I had no time to talk with him. No one claimed a body.
What was the nature of the mistake?
It was a twofold error. My diagnosis was wrong, and the administered dosage was too strong.
Why not stop practicing?
Are you mad? I killed that man, I admit it, and it won't happen again. I have saved so many lives since then.
そうね。
What can you tell me about the staff in the hospital?
Some are really good, and others are not so good. But during this troubled period, there is no time for slander. I prefer to focus on the positive character traits.
Tell me more about cherished people, then.
Nurse Brannigan is a pearl. She is the most helpful and dedicated nurse I've ever worked with. A clever and cheerful woman.
You really seem to admire her skills.
I'll go even further. If she was a man, she would be a damn fine practitioner.
Any opinion about
やっぱこうやって会話しないとヒントがアンロックされねえ
I
な。
don't always agree with Dr. Swansea's reserve, but I must admit he does all he can to keep this facility running during this crisis.
Ah, yes, the burden of command. I was fed up with this concept while serving as a medical officer.
Don't get me wrong. Swansea's a good administrator. I just wish he would get out of his office down again.
What is the Pembroke Hospital situation? And please, speak freely.
This hospital is not exactly the best of London. I'm sure you are used to working in a better environment.
It's more than enough. In any case, the personnel of a hospital are much more important to me than the building.
Don't be misled by appearances, Dr. Reed. This hospital does not lack talented people. It just lacks hope.
なもんか。
Goodbye, Dr. Tippett.
Now.
Good evening, nurse. I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed, the new surgeon here at the Pembroke.
Dr. Swansea has already told us about you, sir. I'm Nurse Gwyneth Brannigan. Welcome to the Pembroke Hospital.
Did he really? It's a good thing I wasn't hoping to keep a low profile.
All members of staff have already read about your new blood transfusion technique. Dr. Swansea made sure of that.
I see. Well, I'm a little surprised, but I suppose I'll just have to deal with this unexpected notoriety.
You must know, blood transfusions are Dr. Swansea's primary subject of research. He is convinced it is the future.
How are things here?
Not good, to say the least. We're struggling against an invisible enemy, more lethal than any bullet from a gun. It's hard, Doctor.
Do you think this hospital can survive the epidemic?
We are all volunteers here, and we're trying to hold fast, but how do we beat an invisible killer? Some nurses have already resigned.
An invisible enemy? Quite a poetic term for a disease, especially from a nurse.
Sorry, Doctor. These last few weeks have been exhausting. We could all do with a good night's sleep.
寝不足なん
I'm
だ
not
ね。
familiar with all the staff yet. Perhaps you could help me.
Brilliant professionals, most of them. Dr. Swansea has a gift for recruiting talent.
Most of them. Is there a problem I should know about, nurse?
It would be inappropriate for me to speak ill of a colleague.
Is there anyone that stands out?
Well, I have never met someone as dedicated as Dr. Tippett's. He should be a standard for us all here. If only he were younger.
Why should his age be a problem?
I guess it's fair to say he's always pushing himself to the limits. He just doesn't know when to stop and get some rest.
Nurse Brannigan, if you do know something, please tell me. Anything you say will be held in confidence.
No. I may disagree with some conduct, but in the end, everybody is doing their best.
Why does Dr. Tippett claim you're the main reason he keeps working, despite his fatigue?
If it wasn't for him, I probably would have left the Pembroke years ago.
Dr. Tippett does not think of you as just a nurse anymore, does he?
If you're suggesting he's not taking my gender into consideration when it comes to medical practice and knowledge, I really hope he doesn't.
Tell me what Dr. Tippett did. I know his mistake caused a patient's death.
If I had not covered up his error, Dr. Tippett would have been fired from this hospital. I could not let that happen.
You can't allow your emotions to dictate your conduct concerning patients, Nurse Brannigan.
Look around you, Dr. Reed. Do you really think we can afford to lose a brilliant practitioner like Dr. Tippett's in our situation?
Perhaps you did it with the best intentions, Nurse Brannigan, but you took a great risk. Must I remind you that a man died?
You mean you've never made a mistake? Never covered your tracks? Come on, Doctor. I wasn't born yesterday.
I've decided that I won't reveal Dr. Tippett's, shall we say, misdemeanor.
I'm so glad you share my point of view. Dr. Tippets is a brilliant practitioner. We most definitely need his know-how.
I hope you're right. This is a huge risk we're taking.
Dr. Tippets must regain his confidence. Please, keep this decision between you and me. He doesn't need to know you found out.
Goodbye, nurse. Call me if you need assistance.
難しいね。会話内容によってはヒント得られなかったりするんだ。
Good evening, Dr. Tippett.
Dr. Reed, any good news to share?
You're exhausting yourself, Corcoran. Maybe you should think about preserving your strength.
No. We must keep on healing all those poor souls. We are the last rampart before chaos. Once more unto the breach.
Nurse Brannigan is worried about you, Doctor.
She should not have told you that. I will have a word with her.
You don't have to blame her for her honesty.
I'm not that kind of man, my dear Jonathan. Actually, Nurse Brannigan's opinion is the only one I may listen to.
Goodbye, Dr. Tippett. Good evening, Nurse Brannigan.
ブラナガンか。誰が誰かわかんねえんだよな。
Goodbye, nurse. Call me if you need assistance. Good evening, Milton.
Good evening, Doctor. Still trying to save lives?
Goodbye, Milton.
間違った。
Good evening, Milton.
Good evening, Doctor. Still trying to save lives?
Are you really smuggling weapons through the hospital?
And why not? I've already been attacked by patients, you know. And by gang members willing to steal my money.
But you're not defending yourself. You're selling guns to civilians.
You keep people alive your own way, Doctor. I offer them another way to protect their health.
So what do you do exactly in this hospital? Apart from smuggling guns, I mean.
I've been an ambulance driver since... too long, I guess. I'll bring sick people here night and day. It's a dirty job, but I get it done. Most of the time.
Since you're on the front line, how is the sanitary situation in this vicinity?
It's a complete disaster. It's even getting dangerous to enter some streets or buildings. Even the locals attack you.
It sounds like things have been a bit rough recently. What's happened?
Yesterday I got attacked by the patient I was bringing in. I escaped through the hospital's garden, but I lost my wallet when I was running.
You left an infected patient outside the hospital? That's incredibly dangerous.
Go there yourself if you want, but be careful, Doctor. I'd rather not bring your dead body back.
How is the situation around here?
You want to hear the situation is all right? It's fucking awful. We lack everything, and it's getting worse every day.
I have some good news, Milton.
What? The epidemic's over?
I retrieved your wallet, with all the money, and a certain picture.
Well, yeah, Pippa Hawkins is my girl. So what? Is it the difference of skin colour that bothers you?
Not at all, Milton.
Good. Please, take this money anyway, to remind you to keep your mouth shut. Not everybody is as broad-minded as you, Dr. Reed.
What's going on between you and Nurse Hawkins?
Pippa's tired. Tired of all this shit. Tired of all those corpses piling up. She's as depressed as I am.
You do realize you could both get fired. Hospital staff are not meant to have intimate relationships with one another.
Come on, Dr. Reed. Do you know how many rules are broken in this hospital every day just to keep it running? There's nothing wrong with what we're doing.
During the war, I witnessed a few couples just like you come together in difficult circumstances. It can be very damaging.
Maybe you're right. But we support each other. And that's all that matters.
Goodbye, Milton.
どうしよう、誰のチーズを完全な悪人がいないんだよな。完全にこれやべえだろってやつからはチーズするけど、そうとも言えないんだよな。
Yes, Doctor?
Please, could you point me in the direction of the morgue again?
It's the large boarded-up building behind the hospital. You can't miss it. The key I gave you will open the small back door to it.
That's all for now, Nurse Crane. Thank you. Good evening, Nurse Hawkins.
Good evening, Dr. Reed.
How long have you been a nurse?
Well, long enough to see that the epidemic is winning. And no matter how qualified you are, don't tell me you'll change that.
You'd be surprised what dedication can achieve, Nurse Hawkins. In medicine, sometimes we're just a test result away from a miracle.
Sorry, Doctor. I don't want to sound bitter, but I'm just too tired to give a pep talk like Nurse Brannigan.
How is the Pembroke staff coping with the epidemic?
Well, not well. Milton, the ambulance driver, is even more grumpy than usual, especially concerning doctors.
Why does Milton dislike doctors?
I don't know. Just ask him. But be warned, Milton is not the chatty type.
Why is Milton grumpy on a daily basis? Is it just an act?
Milton's not the kind of man who's bothered about a bad reputation, whether he deserved it or not.
How would you describe the situation at the Pembroke Hospital?
It's serious. The flu is wreaking havoc amongst the staff and patients. We are running out of everything.
Nurse Hawkins, the Spanish flu won't last forever. Even the Black Plague didn't kill everyone.
I wish I could believe you. But what if this epidemic was worse? What if in the end, nobody was spared?
You must get a hold of yourself, Nurse.
Sorry, I'm exhausted. No one has any idea when this epidemic will be over.
Pepper, I know you're very close to Milton Hooks.
Yes, Milton Hooks is my man. If you want to report me for that, just feel free, Doctor.
I have no intention of reporting you, Nurse Hawkins. But are you aware of the risks?
The rules say I won't be allowed to work as a nurse anymore. But here at the Pembroke, we break rules all the time.
Is he worth the risk?
Hey, I'm no perfect woman, and Milton is not the finest bloke. But we do our best to get by. That's all any of us can hope for nowadays.
Goodbye, Nurse.
The pain.
Good evening, Mr. Elwood.
Evening, Dr. Reed.
How close are you to Miss Hallcroft? Are you aware that she thinks she is a vampire?
To wait for her next nibble is the best reason to stay here. Every time she approaches my bed, she treats me like something tasty. A normal person.
Aren't you afraid? She may hurt you if the game goes too far.
She's quite harmless, I can assure you. Her head's broken inside is all. While I'm busted on the outside. But she's still beautiful. Living proof that there's hope for me.
うーん。 What? 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 うーん。
So do you let her bite you? You know that's not sanitary.
And why not? She's only supping a few drops of my blood. And the pain, it's real for once.
She could decide to bite less willing patients.
Then it's another good reason for me to stay here, Doctor.
You do realize she's mentally disturbed. It's called the Cotard syndrome. She truly believes she's a vampire.
In her madness, she never refers to my scars. And frankly, if I could, I'd join her world. It seems much more fun than the real one.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Elwood.
Disgust on every street corner. The daily routine.
いねえな。あれ？あ、いた。
Good evening, Miss Howcroft. How are you tonight?
I need blood, Doctor. Warm, rich, vibrant blood.
Tell me, Thelma, why do you feel so attached to Mr. Elwood? Why him?
I'm not sure, Doctor. I think we have a bond of some sort. We've both suffered so much. He's the only mortal I find interesting.
Would you say you and Mr. Elwood are romantically involved?
No. No, Thomas is a delicate soul. Even though he disguises it. But I am not the woman he needs. No, for I am a vampire, Doctor.
Do you plan to make him a vampire too?
Of course not. How could I inflict my curse on anybody else? I'm not that cruel, Doctor.
I'll leave you, Mistress of the Dark, to your nocturnal activities.
Damn. The pain. It's here again.
Good evening, Milton.
Good evening, Doctor. Still trying to save lives?
めっちゃもらえるじゃん。
Why do you have such a mediocre reputation among your colleagues, Milton?
Fuck them. Nobody knows the horrors I've seen since working here. This city was sick long before the epidemic, Dr. Reed.
I know it's a difficult task, but correct me if I'm wrong. Is this not the job you are paid to do?
I've seen babies left to die while their brothers were properly fed. Underage girls and boys sold to all manner of perverts.
I'm sorry, I don't know what to say.
Yeah, exactly. We lack words. So excuse me if I don't look on the bright side of life.
Goodbye, Milton.
どうしよう。レベル上げしたいのに。こいつ誰？
Good evening, sir. I'm Dr. Reed.
初めて
I
か。
believe we're going to be colleagues.
Reed, yes, I've been informed about your arrival. I'm Waverly Ackroyd. Welcome aboard, I suppose.
Does my arrival inconvenience you?
なんか嫌そうなやつ見つけた。
Let us just say that I don't particularly share Dr. Swans's enthusiasm for hiring you. What we need here are reliable professionals, not overrated dabblers.
いいじゃんいいじゃん。嫌なやつ見つけたよ。
If you have a problem with me, Dr. Ackroyd, please feel free to tell me.
Dr. Swansea has imposed your presence on this hospital without asking anyone's advice. The benefit of his position. But I don't agree with it.
I know we've never met before, but I believe this hospital could use all the help it can get. You will agree with that, I'm sure.
Oh, but I have heard about you, Dr. Reed. Of course, you can't say the same about me, since I have not wasted my time courting the press.
You are going to change your tone with me, my dear colleague, and very quickly.
I don't think so. Perhaps you think yourself protected by Dr. Swansea, but I am still a free man, and I will speak to you the way I want.
4レベか。
Since your tenure in this hospital is longer than mine, perhaps you can tell me more about this place.
Let's just say I'm tired of the carelessness around me. I have always respected the skills of Dr. Swansea, but over time his enthusiasm has become displaced.
Carelessness? Exactly what are you talking about?
We're here to save lives. The people who trust us are not volunteering for experimentation. They're here to be healed.
I don't intend to run any radical experiments, Doctor. Even if I, as any good practitioner should, express an interest in pushing the boundaries of medical research.
Modern medical methods were created through audacity and ego. But there are rules in our line of work, and they're here to protect our patients.
そういう点だけはいい先生なんだな。
It seems you have bad memories of your military service.
I refuse to see this industrial slaughter as scientific progress. War only reveals the worst in men.
We can at least agree on something, Dr. Ackroyd. I don't know what you've heard about me, but I have already proved my value as a practitioner.
I don't question your skills, Dr. Reed, but your motive. Is it money, fame, or are you truly dedicated?
And what exactly is that supposed to mean?
I served in the war just like you. But unlike you, I did not use the wounded to play the modern sorcerer.
Be careful what you insinuate, Dr. Ackroyd.
I only want you to admit you used those men to improve your theories.
This is ridiculous. My blood transfusion technique saved many lives, and you know it.
You see? That is exactly what I hate about people like you. You avoid this kind of accusation instead of facing reality.
なんかすげえ嫌なやつだな。
Thank you for your time. We'll talk later.
びっくりだぜ。
Good evening, Doctor. I believe we're going to be working together.
Dr. Reed. Dr. Swansea informed us of your arrival, but I could not dare to believe we'd have such good fortune. Such an honor, sir.
Thank you. And you are?
I am Thoreau Strickland, Dr. Thoreau Strickland. I'm a great admirer of your work, Dr. Reed.
医者はみんなあれだな、催眠耐性高いな。
What do you think of Dr. Ackroyd's aversion to modern medical methods?
It's a shame he's so narrow-minded. Dr. Swansea taught me that science is about exploring uncharted territory. I'm convinced that's true.
With the influenza and all that's going on, you should put your differences aside, don't you think? Why is it so difficult to work together?
I believe that if Dr. Ackroyd had been the one to discover the transfusion process, he would be the first to recommend its use.
So you believe it's just a question of jealousy and pride?
Dr. Ackroyd is as proud as he is blinded by his obsolete concept of medical science.
Please, could you tell me something about yourself?
I'm a great admirer of your work concerning blood transfusion, Dr. Reed. I run my own experiments. I'm convinced it's the future.
I based my technique on my mentor's research. He helped me perfect my method. What is yours?
I'd rather not talk about it. For now, it's just theories and first approach. My process is purely experimental and unsuccessful.
As long as you're cautious and methodical, you may remain empty-handed, but you won't fail.
You're not the first one to warn me, but I am convinced knowledge is the main weapon against the ravages of this epidemic.
What made you choose to be a doctor?
I'm not ashamed to admit you and your work have inspired me. I am honored to have the opportunity to work by your side.
It's always a pleasure to share scientific and medical knowledge with someone eager to learn. I'll be glad to help you if I can.
This epidemic may be the century's most terrible disaster, but I'm convinced that we, as doctors, are the only ones able to defeat it.
What can you tell me about the Pembroke?
Well, it has always been an honor to work with Dr. Swansea. But with your arrival, I can't think of a better opportunity to learn about blood transfusion.
Do you need help with anything in particular?
Well, yes, maybe. I'm waiting for a batch of products I ordered for my personal research, yet my supplier seems to have vanished.
Do you want me to play the errand boy for you?
Oh no, Dr. Reed. But if you went personally to his shop, what with your reputation and all, he wouldn't dare to refuse the products I need.
I see. Well, give me the address, for I may pass by if I have time. You seem quite optimistic. It's a rare and precious attitude in these.
なんかこう罰とかでさ、会話飛ばせたね。四角か。四角に飛ばせんのか。
Tell me more about
Harvey Fiddick is a patient suffering from a severe injury.
What is it you really want? To say
fair question. I want.
Tell me, Mr.
Our first diagnosis was compromised because.
But why would he hide such?
Because he is a proud father, ashamed of put.
This personal involvement.
I agree, but that does not excuse Doctor.
Do you think keeping his distance was a mistake?
All I know is that I'm taking care of human beings.
Goodbye, Dr. Strickland. Good evening, Mr.
Good evening, Doctor.
Tell me about your...
My wife died because of me.
How could your job be...
I was working a double. She went out to bring me a hot meal and got caught in a German bomb raid.
You can't hold yourself...
Of course I didn't hurt myself.
Tell me more about
1915. I was in the army.
What happened?
The Germans sent Zeppelins to bomb the construction site, but they missed their target. My wife was bringing my dinner with...
I'm sorry for your loss.
I would like to say that she didn't suffer.
How are your children?
They were smaller then. The only...
Tell me about it.
I'm just a regular guy waiting to get...
I was more curious about...
I'm a carpenter.
Are you sat...
Well,
I won't lie.
Are you sure you don't want to operate yourself, Dr. Reed?
In other circumstances, you would be right.
Mother,
I'll see you later.
You always knew the words to calm the children, Ellen. As for me...
Good evening, madam.
It's my son.
I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed.
I'm Beatrice Goswick,
What can you tell me?
Not much to say.
May I ask?
I'm a teacher by profession. I teach young...
Are you really that rare?
Yes, thanks to my husband.
What do you think?
I have had the uttermost reservation.
Is there something in particular that's bothering you?
Some of the staff were not especially welcoming.
Tell me...
The ambulance driver was quite rude, for a start. And that nurse...
What do you mean?
She managed to secure a bed for my son.
She charged you for a bed?
Yes, and I paid without...
I share your concern.
I don't expect compensation, Dr. Reed.
Goodbye,
なかなかやべえやつだな。
I'm all right.
As for me...
Good evening.
No.
Really?
I don't want to talk.
I suppose that this pain...
Yes.
Could you at least...
Mortimer.
How painful.
So painful, I'd rather...
I'm sure you realize a doctor...
Not really.
I see.
Yes, maybe.
How painful.
So painful.
I'll let you get...
I'm all right.
Good evening, Mr.
I'm okay.
競争剤ね。
Tell me about
I
it.
don't want.
Why did your mother have you hospitalized?
My mother just wants the best for me.
Is your mother bothering you?
That's tempting, Doctor.
Pembroke Hospital may look.
It's not me, you have to.
How
So painful.
I have to go now, sir.
Time with me.
Good evening.
Goodbye, Mrs. Gosling.
今回会話会だな。あのふざけた看護師の子だ。お前か？
Good evening, nurse.
Good evening.
Goodbye, nurse.
なんか問題カップルだな。
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'd like to see.
Wise choice, Doctor.
Good evening, nurse.
Good evening, Dr. Rick.
Goodbye.
見分けつかねえ。誰が誰だかわからん。とりあえず一旦経験値振ってくるか。
It's locked.
ティペッツ。ナトリウム溶液。ナトリウム溶液はねえな。ですね。レベル10か。 んでブラッドバリアかな。したら組み替えるでしょ。これでいってみる？ここに誰がいんだこれ。中に誰かいんのか。ああ、なるほどね。よしよしよし。こいつらか。うん、これでいいっぽいな。これで片付いたね。 メガネじゃない方。
I'm quite busy right now, Dr. Reed.
Tell me, Waverly, what do you think?
Strickland is playing with his...
Are you thinking about...
Harvey Fiddick needs delicate surgery. I believe...
Why do you...
I strongly believe that Mr. Fiddick should...
Other people may...
Conservative. And
are you not afraid...
Rivalry. I guess you could call it...
Thank you for your time.
Every street corner.
あれテルマにあいた。
Good evening, Miss Howard.
I need blood, Doctor.
Tell me, Thelma.
I saw one and he saw me. I watched him hunt.
You mean you actually saw a vampire? Here in London?
Yes. And it has been...
You have no idea...
Why fear the truth? Strange things...
Tell me...
I saw...
You mean you act...
Yes.
You have...
Why fear the...
I'll leave you.
そうさな悩むなほんと。もう一回行ってみるか。あっち側か。リベンジマッチじゃ。あっちか。増えてねあ、気のせいか。なんで振り返んだよ。さあ行くぞ。 補給して、これ買ったやろ。やべろ。よっしゃ、いったろ。なんでや。よっしゃよっしゃよっしゃよっしゃ。ギリギリ。
I'm not sure I can defeat them without becoming stronger. To drink blood is so tempting. Sodium hypochlorite. Dangerous to administer, but efficient in the proper dosage.
危ねえったらねえよ、本当に。ドロシー・クレインズ誰だっけ。なんで増えてる？帰り道増える系か。買ったー。まだ人間相手の方がいいかもしれん。ドロシー・クレインって誰よ。あれか。
Finally, you've returned, Doctor. Did you find anything of value?
Yes, nurse.
You've worked your first miracle, Doctor. Now, this patient here needs immediate treatment.
Duty calls. When the storm has passed, I'll show you how to mix the remedy yourself with the same basic ingredients.
Many thanks, Doctor.
Good evening, Mr.
I'm okay.
Do you need any help?
I'm afraid I may, sir. I don't mean to be a burden.
You are not a burden, sir. Healing you is my...
And you have my gratitude for that.
I have to go now, sir.
Don't waste your time with me.
Good evening, Doctor.
Goodbye, Mrs. Goswick.
回復中か。催眠レベルってどうやって上がるんだろうな。いねえな吸える人がいねえな。ダメダメダメダメ。やっとボス倒したからな。
Please, Jonathan, come in. Fascinating, is it not? In the last decade, so many mysteries have been brought to light with our microscopes. The human body, biology's penultimate frontier. The more we explore its boundaries, the less we're able to trace a clear line between life and death. You, my friend, have a foot in both countries. The view must be vertiginous.
It's at least as vertiginous as chatting about vampires with you, I would say.
This must be all so new to you. This area of town, the hospital, a brand new life. How stimulating it must be.
I wish I could share your enthusiasm, Dr. Swansea. But my condition defies scientific categorization. Undead? Unalive? Immortality defies logic.
I cannot express my thrill at this serendipitous turn of events. The world's most eminent specialist in blood transfusions, a vampire. One might say a gift from heaven.
I'm a dead man. I was murdered. Now I'm a murderer. Tell me how this is a gift.
Forgive me. I've been an admirer of your work for a long...
Thank you. But...
Very well. I have...
Please, go on.
The Pembroke only survives through the generosity of...
A spokesman or politician is what you need.
Discretion is in order, Jonathan. Lady Ashbury has recently received rather correspondence that...
And you would like me to eradicate this threat?
By the stole, of course not. I would just like you to pay her a visit. Her ladyship is certainly near the tents outside, tending the sick. You can't miss her. Look for someone impossibly delicate.
Accepted. I'll see what kind of...
Do you need something?
I have just a...
Then ask away.
You mentioned something about a secret.
Certainly. I've been a member of...
That...
I feel it wasn't mere coincidence that led us to that part of town.
Yet you don't fear me.
The Brotherhood has studied your kind for centuries. We believe...
Since you seem quite the expert...
As men of science, our first...
The sun. The morning following my...
You will find there is very little that can kill a vampire, my friend. You have been offered relative immortality. The sun will certainly hurt you, leaving you weakened and damaged, but it will not destroy you.
Must I take a life to live?
You are a vampire. You feed, and blood is the sole sustenance that can sustain your immortal frame. And only a living creature contains the nourishment you require.
Since I'm the one working for you...
Well, for many years we have been the...
Where do we...
But to be honest, we cope on a day.
What do you...
What we need is hope.
The man we pursued and slew in the canning factory...
He was a Skull, technically speaking.
Where do... How do you...
The name means slave. The etymology may indicate that they are a lesser species of vampire. From what I know, vampires tend to despise them.
Just for clarity, what differences are there between myself and a Skull?
A Skull is easier to eliminate, Jonathan, even if they remain formidable foes for the unprepared. Vampires... Now, vampires exist beyond the mortal realm.
We'll
see each other.
なんかねえか。ああ、やっぱこういうのも読まないといけないのか。 なんかいろいろヒントを拾ったな。こっちじゃねえな。
Good evening.
Evening.
Have you heard rumors?
If you want to know what's...
Goodbye for now. Good evening. Have you heard of it?
I have no time.
健康体なんだよな。
I'll leave you. Good evening.
Good evening.
Goodbye. Good evening.
And good evening.
Have you heard?
You're running some official inquiry.
Tell me, Thoreau.
He refuses to admit that your blood...
What Dr. Ackroyd really said is that you lack the skill to perform this operation efficiently. Is there anything you have to say about this?
It's a false conceit. Dr. Ackroyd secretly envies your reputation. His jealousy blinds him. I'm not the real target here.
Goodbye, Dr. Strickland.
いや、医者高えな。
Good evening, Mr.
Good evening.
Have you heard
No.
Goodbye for now.
I will not let you down,
Good evening.
Good evening.
健康体なんだよな。
Is there anything?
I'm all right.
Goodbye for...
Reads me like a book.
Good evening.
I'm okay.
Have you heard rumors?
No.
I have to go.
Good evening, Doctor.
Have you heard?
Dr. Reed, are you...
Of course not, Mrs.
Well, go be curious somewhere.
Goodbye, Mrs.
As for me, what?
入院患者にチケットって他にいたっけ？
Dr. Reed.
What can you...
Everyday folk...
News on the front stated that the Spanish flu was under...
It seemed to be for a while.
What can you tell me?
This hospital was...
Can you be more...
Well, veterans.
For how long?
I first volunteered at the Pembroke in 1911.
And before...
If you must know.
Well, Dr. Swansea, sir...
Not in an official...
How is the...
Everybody works until they can't.
What about...
Dr. Reed, we don't...
I'll see you later.
他誰いる？邪魔だな。ラケシュがどうのこうのしてたよな。
It's locked, all right.
謎のローディング入ったぞ。あ、これか、もしかしてフリーズどうのこうのっての。よかった、びっくりした。
Such a pleasure to see you again.
Tell me the truth about your appointment as a medic during the war, Rakesh.
The regiment administration appointed me by mistake. I had to
スキップ
learn
できないん
the
ですけ
job
ど。
on the spot, sir. Very hard, sir. But I rose to the challenge.
Are you afraid or uneasy being surrounded by so many corpses?
Why should I? These bodies are empty vessels. Flesh left to decay. Poof. No soul anymore. All gone.
Goodbye, Mr. Chidana.
もう一回もう一回。
Good evening, Doc.
あ、飛ばせるようになった
Are you
Why?
an interesting point of view?
Sir, as a medic, you...
How did you get...
After I left the army, I worked...
Do you work here?
Yes, very easy work, sir.
Why closed?
It was for sanitary reasons after the beginning of the epidemic. Cadavers had to be moved to the nearest mass grave.
Why do you have to watch these bodies?
Because these poor fellows have no names. We keep them in case someone comes looking for the missing. Sadly, very rarely happens.
本当は
Have we met?
I don't think so, sir. Why?
When we first talked, you said you were glad to meet me since I was reported dead.
Funny story, sir. Your sister came here a few nights ago. You were missing, and she was looking for your body. She must be very
あ
relieved.
ら
Tell me the truth about your appointment.
The regiment administ...
You can't impersonate...
You're absolutely right, sir. But as a field surgeon...
Do you believe you have
My ratings were within the averages of the regiment. I saved lives, Dr. Reed. Does that not say enough about triage and war surgery?
Do you realize how many soldiers died?
Yes, sir. I swear I did, sir.
It is an unbelievable...
It was a time beyond belief, Dr. Reed. But I'm happy not to deal with the wounded. I prefer caring for...
Have you heard of...
Pardon me, sir.
A pawnbroker?
Yes, sir.
What kind...
With the quarantine, it's...
Since you're not afraid of dying...
No. I believe...
Do you think you would enjoy it?
I don't think so.
Do you really believe...
As I said, sir...
Quite depressing, wouldn't you?
Yes. But the good news is...
So you're...
No, I am not.
You're a wise man.
No, Dr. Reed. I am a fool.
うん
Please show...
Of course. It...
ほんでん悪人だな。
I'm sorry you ended up on my plain and cold medical bench.
あ、ここに飛べるんだ。便利。どうしよう。スタミナ？いや、でも体力も捨てがたいよな、やっぱ。こうだな。ミルトンくん、ちょっと悪人すぎない？アップグレードだな。ミルトン。
Good evening, Milton.
Good evening.
I'd like...
Wise choice, Doc.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Have you heard of any...
There are a lot of secrets round here.
What kind of...
I'm not in the gossip business, Dr. Reed.
Tell me why you're...
If a patient wants a bed, he'll have to pay me...
Where did you get the idea?
Funny you should ask. The first time...
Admit it. Nurse Hawk...
Of course she is. How else could I tell which bed is free? I need to know that.
Have you no shame?
Don't you see this city is crumbling down? Today people are ready to pay to get a hospital bed. Tomorrow we may be fighting for food.
Goodbye, Milton.
Perhaps I should have considered...
The flu took my dear wife, Emily. I take comfort knowing we'll soon be together again.
Mr. Rainfield, that's no way to talk. You're in good hands here, and we'll be up again soon enough. Now do me a kindness and get some sleep. I'll be back round later.
このヴァンパイアの人だよね。
The blessings of an angel. You're the sweet, sweet lady of mercy.
Good evening, Dr. Reed. It's a pleasure to see you again. You seem surprised. Dr. Swansea has brought me up to speed concerning your recent appointment to Pembroke Hospital.
You're a the lady who saved me that night, before vanishing into thin air. I remember you from the pub with Dr. Swansea.
Indeed. Allow me to introduce myself formally this time. My name is Lady Ashbury. I remember you well, in spite of the brevity of our encounter.
So it seems our Dr. Swansea...
Dr. Swansea is a
I hope you're more
You must have countless questions, but our rather urgent matter first. Swansea has explained. My cover...
Have any of the patients given you trouble?
These poor souls have so...
The world would be a better place.
You make me blush.
Pardon my boldness, your ladyship, but I have questions.
As a newborn, your hunger for answers is rivaled only by your thirst for blood.
I'm a scientist. My trade is in the...
I will gladly answer every question you have, but first, prove yourself capable of resolving my predicament without eating the culprit.
Dr. Swansea has commissioned me to be your agent in this matter. You could start by explaining what's amiss.
These past insufferable weeks, I've been the victim of extortion. I've made a first payment, but the blackmailer grows greedy. I must refuse his most recent demands.
Who would be so foolish?
Even if it were the case, and I highly doubt it, a vampire would have asked for something more valuable than money. My suspicions leaned...
If we're dealing with an ordinary criminal, surely you...
As immortal tradition doth dictate, all fangs and hypnotic eyes ablaze, the blood would run like a river. That's what I hope to avoid. Violence has a tendency to spiral out of control.
What are your expectations?
As the newly appointed surgeon of this hospital, you are in an excellent position to ask innocent questions and deftly learn the identity of my blackmailer.
Please continue.
My embarrassment in this matter is eclipsed.
Is it true?
Now aren't you the blunt?
You are aware that I too know the thirst for...
In all honesty, I'm not simply a patron to the hospital.
I'll take care of it.
If that was the case, I'd settle the matter myself. You could talk to our local gossip, Harriet Jones. Not a pin drops here without her hearing about it.
I'll meet that woman now.
My life, as other... is our little mystery closer.
I think of nothing.
My situation is...
さすがにブラッドクオリティなしなの。中か。
There's
no need for alarm.
Preposterous. Dr. Reed, you say? I don't want some bumbling intern. Where's Dr. Swansea?
Please, calm down, madam. I assure you that I am highly qualified. I'm just back from war duty.
How brave. Threatening an old defenseless woman. You know how long I've been a patient here? You've picked the wrong fight. I'm Harriet Jones.
Harriet Jones?
Oh, better than any patient, nurse or doctor.
I heard there have been some...
Blackmail? Wait. You're investigating something. This isn't a social call. One of those incompetent cunts slit a poor sod's vein.
If I didn't know better, Miss...
God's honest truth, Doctor. It's...
You seem to know more.
That's it. Blame the old and infirm.
I assure you,
Debauchery, then? Nurses Crane, Hawkins, Brannigans, whores, all of them. They can't keep their legs shut. I've seen them scratching slutty sores.
Really? Well, if you have irrefutable proof, I'll not have the staff behaving in such a manner here.
This is your business, Doctor, not mine. But I swear one of the nurses is cavorting with some man on hospital hours.
Thank you for your time, Miss Jones. You've given me something to go on. See you on the next round.
やっぱミルトンなんであんなに光り輝いてんだ
The patients and staff might know something. I'll start my investigation with them.
Hello again.
What do you do for a living?
I manage a night asylum for the poor and homeless of the docks.
Why didn't you use your cross?
That's a very strange question, Doctor. That's a very strange question, Doctor. A cross is no magical token, if that's what you were trying to say. Not mine, anyway.
Are you a priest?
Not at all, Doctor. I'm just a man of faith willing to preach the good word.
How do you feel?
I feel exhausted. Beyond exhaustion, actually. William drank so much of my blood in his madness. I feel... empty.
You're in good hands here. Dr. Swansea is well versed in blood transfusion, and I'm sure he'll take the best care of you.
Thank you, sir. I believe all I need is rest. And then I can go back to the people who need me. まあ健康なんだもんな。
Goodbye, Mr. Hampton.
It's there again.
Good evening.
Evening.
Goodbye.
Damn. The pain. It's there again.
Good evening, Doctor.
Dr. Reed.
Have you heard?
I have no time for such...
Goodbye.
Šta?
Good evening, Doctor.
Goodbye. Good evening.
I'm okay.
I have to go now.
Don't waste your time.
우리 브라나강
Good evening, nurse.
Good evening.
Milton cheats patients out of...
Yes, I am.
Is this your definition of being...
No. It is my definition.
Why do you...
Why not? Most of the sick who paid for a bed are already dead, or will be soon. Don't you see the futility of all this?
You put a price on...
Report me then, Dr. Reed. Report the little nurse and keep on lying about the surgical errors, the wrong dosages and diagnostics that we all covered for the sake of our colleagues.
Whose idea was it?
What difference does it make?
Answer my question.
It was my idea first.
What can you tell me about the strange...
Let me guess. You spoke with that old shrew, Harriet Jones.
Do
not pay attention to her.
疲れてきちゃうなこれ。
She's full of fanciful tales.
She could have been...
That old witch will end up in hell soon enough. Who cares if a nurse finds some happiness where she can?
No matter how you feel...
Who says I don't care for her? Hate is what keeps that old crone alive.
Goodbye, nurse.
Brava.
Good evening, Nurse Brett.
Good evening.
Do you know if any of the hospital...
The people who work here all come...
Have you seen us?
I've never heard of...
Goodbye, Nurse.
あれ
How can I be sure I'll not find your unconscious body in the house again?
I promise you, you'll not find my unconscious body.
For God's sake, how can you say such a thing?
How can you refuse to listen? I tried to warn you for so long.
No, I won't let my only son die. You promised me you'll stay alive.
Your son lied to you, like the whole world lies to us.
Hmm, 別のミッションかこれまた。
You're sure you don't come back with me?
Nah, I have to see someone at the hospital.
Be careful. You look so bad they may keep you as a patient.
Fuck 'em. I don't like hospitals or doctors.
Well then, when you go back to Whitechapel, you may find this useful.
血まみれ。
A pass for a free medical exam by the best nurse available. Just read it.
I don't read well, but thank you, I guess.
Iつの間にこっちが来たんだ。誰だあれ。
Please, sir.
What's going on?
I'm Blight, sir.
I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed.
Oswald and myself were both infantry, sir. We were en route for the hospital, but... Well, we had a disagreement. And Oswald ran off towards the canal.
How long have you been searching for him?
I can't go there. Too many rats by the water. Fucking rats. Can't stand them since the war, sir. Can't stand them at all.
Don't be ashamed, Mr. Blight. Many soldiers who survived the trenches suffer from musophobia. I'll see what I can do for your friend. What can you tell...
I'm Oswald's best friend.
What can you tell me?
His name is Oswald Thatcher.
Where was he?
He went down by the canal.
This is a day...
We were looking for the Pembroke...
I have all the information.
Thank you. Have you found...
Not yet.
All right.
I have all...
Thank you.
こっちには誰もいないか？
I cannot enter.
ないか。めっちゃレベル高いじゃん。
He's locked the door behind him. I need to find another way to follow him.
やられてんな。
This man has been savagely attacked and dragged to the floor.
I want to see the sky, feel the fresh air.
Oh. よいしょー。どうも。 なんか迷路だね。やり合ったなお前この野郎。
Are you injured?
Help me get out!
I'm Dr. Reed, and I'd be...
Okay. Okay, I'm Oswald Thatcher. Please, I need to get out.
Mr. Thatcher, your friend Newton sent me to help...
Yes. Yes, I do.
Good. Now leave this place and enjoy...
なるほどね。どいてくれ。こっちもなんかあるか。あったな。エリア移動か。ちくしやっちまった。わかりづらいんだよな。これどこ？なるほどね。かっこいいじゃん。なんかあんま寄り道ない方がいいな、多分。おとなしく戻った方が良さげだね。
おう。
This is despicable.
めっちゃ食われてるね。やっぱボス戦か。狼人間？
Creature is this?
おお、何それ。いやー、むずー。あ、こっからなんだ今回は。
What sort of creature is this?
いや、だからさ、なんで？なんで回避をしてんのにさ、反応しねえんだよ。ああ、もう意味わかんねえ。まあ結構長い時間やったし、今日はこの辺ですかね。今んとこちょっとね、勝てないね。というわけで、まあ今回ちょっとこの辺にしとこうかなと思うんですが、そうですね。また次回ね、ちょっとリベンジしましょう。 ほいではお疲れ様でした。